My name is Diana Lenzi. I am the president of the Farming for Future Foundation to promote sustainable agriculture across Europe. I am a chef by training with experience in a Michelin star restaurant in Rome. I am a farmer and wine grower and manage our family's winery in Tuscany. But most important of all, I am mother to Lia and Antonio, two wonderful 6-year-old twins. Governments, media, social media, TikTokers, influencers, activists, they all have a say. They all want to tell me what I should be eating in order to stay healthy. Why are they so interested in telling me what I should be eating? So I decided to cut through the noise and go look for what science actually has to say about healthy food, looking for facts and evidence. And this journey led me to Professor Frederic Leroy, a food scientist from Brussels University. With everything I hear about what to eat and not to eat, I'm getting confused and I really don't know what I should do. And I'm looking for some science-based answers and really hope you can help me with that.
Well, that's right, Diana. We're facing what I call the modern diet paradox. On the one hand, there's more dietary advice than ever. And on the other hand, we see that diet-related chronic disease is on the rise.
Well, the dietary advice that is out there typically is very narrow and also misses out on the right priorities. That's why we created the Nourishment Table to give you more dietary freedom while staying focused on the key priorities.
And what are our important priorities?
The priorities are nutrient density and food processing. Let's first talk about nutrient density.
Nutrient density measures the number of proteins, vitamins, fatty acids, and minerals per calorie. The aim is to have as nutrient-dense foods as possible in the daily meals. Highly nutrient-dense foods are any kind of animal-based products such as meat, fish, dairy, or eggs. Medium nutrient-dense foods are most typically vegetables, fruits, potatoes, beans, and nuts. Low nutrient-dense foods are any foods with lots of calories from grains, sugars, and oil in it, but little nutrients. These are foods like bread, pasta, corn, cookies, sweets, or juices.
The second priority, we need to look at the level at which food is processed.
The degree of food processing measures how much the original food material has been processed and transformed. Unprocessed foods are foods in their natural state that could be consumed as found in nature without doing anything to them. Mildly processed foods change the texture of the food, but nothing has been added to them. Medium processed foods are where different foods and ingredients such as oils, sugars, salts, or yeasts are mixed and are then processed. Highly processed foods are so much transformed that the original food source cannot be recognized anymore. And they are loaded with micro-ingredients such as flavorings, colorants, preservatives, stabilizers, thickeners, acidulants, sweeteners, texturizers, additives, and emulsifiers. Many nutrition scientists, such as Professor Leroy, recommend not to eat highly processed foods.
So people often get the topic of processing wrong. We process food to make it more shelf stable. We process food to increase the digestibility, to make it better accessible.
That's why we do it. We have always been doing that since the beginning of time. However, highly processed foods are designed to be hyperpalatable. We like them a lot. We eat them a lot. They create all sorts of brain effects
that will have repercussions for the gut microbiome, and that has many different effects on our own biology. Disrupt our satiety mechanism, so that's why they lead to overeating. They get so much satisfaction from them that we keep on eating them to the point of overeating and to the point of gaining weight and putting fat at the wrong places in our bodies. And then you end up with the situation of inflammation and hyperinsulinemia and the first steps towards diabetes.
But why do companies make them?
That's because they're profitable. They're made from cheap ingredients generally, And then they're turned into foods that are quasi-addictive. So people will buy them and keep on buying them.
These statements by Professor Leroy raised so many questions for me that I decided to travel to Oslo to meet with Marit Kolby, food researcher and author of a best-selling book on ultra-processed foods.
And nothing wrong with earning money on creating food products.
Yeah.
So that's not the problem. The problem is that extra level of processing turns out to be a problem for the human biology. So these techniques and the ways that these foods are changed actually make the foods less nourishing, and they seem to mess up with our evolutionary systems for staying healthy, really.
One of the key messages I got was that meat is the most robust food to feed ourselves.
Meat is also the food that made us human in a way. It changed our bodies, it changed our metabolism, and we've adapted to it. Now, that doesn't mean that we should base our diets fundamentally on meat. There are many other options that are available to us. But on top of that, the tasting of food is probably that's something that is very important. We know that we have taste buds in our tongue, but our entire gut system is tasting in a way the different nutrients while they're passing through. So the body actually collects information on the foods that are appropriate for us. And taste is a very good guide in nourishing ourselves. So if you gonna nourish yourselves based on a rational decision, it's gonna be very hard. At some point you have to let the body speak as well.
It's incredible. I was not aware of that. And it makes me think that we have like a smart metabolism.
Absolutely, and it may even be smarter than some of the dietary recommendations out there.
The Nourishment Table has green, yellow and red zones. The green zone represents foods that correspond to our evolutionary history over the last 2 million years. As long as we compose our meals from this green zone, it's almost impossible to make a wrong choice nutritionally. It's like nature's perfect menu, time-tested for our well-being.
Earlier, we were talking about nutrient-poor foods. Should that mean that I should be concerned for my friends who do not want to eat meat?
No, it's perfectly possible to be healthy on a non-meat containing diet as long as you're picking the nutrient-dense foods and make sure that you get all required nutrients.
Would that be more complex?
Well, it does come with certain requirements, such as nutritional knowledge and maybe some specific budgets for that. And it may also not be for everyone, because not everyone is biologically predisposed to be successful on a vegetarian diet.
The yellow zones of the Nourishment Table require more effort, financial resources, and cooking skills. This includes vegetarian diets. While it's possible to nourish yourself adequately from this zone, it's riskier to get right. These foods and dietary choices need more careful consideration and preparation. That's why they're in the yellow zone.
In my intensive discussion with Professor Leroy, I went deeper into the concept of green, yellow, and red zones. This exploration revealed something profound. These zones fundamentally change our understanding of food choice liberty. It's not just about nutrition. It's about redefining our relationship with food itself.
So I'm guessing there's some limits to this freedom of choice.
Well, yes, there are certain red zones in the Nourishment Table that are coming with a certain risk. And those are the ultra-processed foods and then the meals that are based on nutrient-poor foods.
But when you talk about a red zone, I'm guessing it's not a prohibition, but just something I should be cautious about.
It's not a prohibition as such, it's an indication of risk. It may lead, in the case of ultra-processed foods, for instance, to overeating and quasi-addictive behavior, or in the case of low nutrient density, to poorly nourished bodies.
The red zone of the Nourishment Table encompasses highly processed foods. These products are far removed from their natural state, often laden with artificial additives, excess sugars, and unhealthy fats due to their detrimental impact on health. Red zone foods should be omitted from our diet as much as possible. They offer little nutritional value and can contribute to various health issues when consumed regularly.
In what way is the nourishment table different from any other dietary advice?
I would say it's less patronizing in the first place. It doesn't try to prescribe specific food groups or specific food combinations and serving sizes. It leaves the maximum of flexibility to each individual.
Wow, that's a very liberating thought, because it means that every individual can choose according to their taste, to their desires, to their culture.
Absolutely. So the whole point is that individuals can align their dietary compositions with their own personal and biological and also cultural and regional preferences and needs.
And so this means this can work everywhere and for everyone?
That's right.
So I came here looking for science and answers. But I found so much more. I found something that I have always known, that food is special. Food can bring us together around a table, can help us share our experiences, our families, our stories, and it can build a sense of community while actually nourishing our bodies.
All scientific foundations presented in this video are peer-reviewed. The most important references are an article on the Nourishment Table published in Animal Frontiers, first issue of 2025, and results from the Pure Epidemiology study published in the European Heart Journal in 2023. Several scientific presentations have been given on the Nourishment Table, for instance, in October 2024 at Colorado State University, USA. For more information, visit nourishyourchoice.org or explore the work of Professor Frederic Leroy at aleph2020.org.